bunch of you have been asking for it. Let's take a peek and let's talk about what Patriots fans can expect from their new quarterback, Drake Maye. Historic year, right? 6 guys taken in the first round. So if you look out of the 6, regardless of who went where and what numbers, he probably had the worst year out of the 6 of them in terms of like this last year of college football, in terms of personal accolades and team accomplishments. Also, of the 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round, he probably went to the toughest situation. Michael Penix Jr.'s situation is its own thing. But in terms of like the personnel there, you've got a rookie head coach, defensive head coach at that. Not a lot of playmakers, not a lot of experience. Like they've kind of really fallen off since Tom Brady left. And so it's a tough situation coming off of a tough year. But I think people forget just how talented this dude is. I have heard people say, Josh Herbert, elements of Josh Allen's game, elements of Justin Herbert's game, not comparing to both of them. I know it's not fair for a rookie, but he was drafted higher than both of them. And when you look at the intangibles, look, all these guys taken, not just the first round, the other rounds too, like they have great intangibles. They're great leaders, they're great work ethic. Like you just don't get here if you're not. But what's unique about him, like what's actually like different than the others, it's a couple of things for me. I've been around him since he was in high school. One, his personality is magnetic. I see a lot of Phillip Rivers in him. When you're in the room with him, you feel it, you know exactly who you're in the room with. It's authentic, he's the same dude, he's all these things outgoing. So like that might actually be better than the other guys or among the best of that group. And then from an athleticism standpoint, I don't know what his 40 time is, I don't care. But the basketball background, how he moves, how he changes direction and his instincts, you see the basketball player and come out on the field. And so I think from an athletic standpoint that translates to playing NFL quarterback at a high level, he's got more than they've had in that organization for 25 years because that wasn't part of Tom Brady's game. And then the third one is just how he's chasing this thing, how great he wants to be. Now, Josh McCown is one of the best leaders, mentors, and quarterbacks I've ever shared a room with. Backed him up in Chicago, and he's been able to spend time like his senior year in high school. Josh McCown was, his quarterback coach on his team, and he's had these people around him. His brothers have been great basketball players. He's just had these things around him that I think is what you need if you're going to go into a difficult situation. And how does last year's tough season correlate to the tough situation he's heading into? Well, he's got context. I think it's hard to go into a bad situation if all you know is winning. Ask Bryce Young, ask Trevor Lawrence. If all you've ever done is win, it can be really difficult being in a tough situation because you've never been in it before. Well, I think Drake's last year, the difference of looking at it like, how am I going to salvage this? Instead, looking at it like, how am I going to parlay this? I think is right on the table for him. And I've got big aspirations. And he's going to be one of the most fascinating young quarterbacks for me to watch these next few years. So there's 2 things I want to do from here on out. 1, I want to show you what I'm talking about from a talent perspective. And 2, I'm going to explain why I'm actually not concerned at all about this situation. And I think he's going into a great situation. First, the plays. This is a 12-yard gain or whatever. I don't care. This is a very impressive throw from what they're asking him to do in this system. Okay, so he's going to have an out. I think he runs a fade. Okay, and he's going to basically flash fake away to the back and then rip this ball to the perimeter. So watch this action here. He's going to basically look at where his shoulders are lined up right now. His shoulders are lined up right here. His hips are lined up right here, which means when he turns to throw this ball, he's doing a 180. That's difficult to do for a lot of guys. Bubble screens to the right. I'm facing the center this way. When I throw a bubble screen to the right, I'm essentially doing a 180. Believe it or not, a lot of your favorite NFL quarterbacks struggle with that. But Drake pushes, gets that foot in the ground, drives this ball completely. Look how he finishes. He's not off balance. He's not spinning, and this ball's ripped to the perimeter. So yeah, 12-yard gain. Cool story, Jordan. What I'm saying is that this is really difficult to do, asking a quarterback to do that with a chance to make a 12-yard gain. Now pushing the ball down the field. This is Notre Dame, right? So this guy's going to end up coming off this hash. He's throwing a fade. What you can't do is put a ton of air underneath it. Well, good thing that off play action, he can drive the ball 55 yards because that's exactly what he does right here. Okay, fake, another 180. Turns off of it, almost 180, gets himself, lines up, and this is not a teardrop ball. Look at this ball leaves his hand, and not much longer, it ends up in his boy's hands, okay? Big, long play, talented, can drive the ball and stretch the field. Now, I would love for every rookie quarterback to get a chance to go into the NFL and start behind a great offensive line where everybody blocks everybody at all times. I'm not going to hold my breath until that happens, so you better be able to create time and space. Here's an example. Regardless of the progression concept, he's starting left. He's working right. He doesn't see it. Nobody's open. He's going to work left again, set up, and create something back right again that's not there, and find his boy with his hand up. Here's that mailbox I talk about. You guys all like that in the comment section, okay? That mailbox, he's going to, as he's working right, rip this ball across his body to a place where only his guy can get it. Look at this movement and mobility. This is not a little fast guy. This is a big, powerful guy. Again, when I say Josh Herbert, I don't know, like Josh does stuff like this. I know this is college, but I think Drake's going to do stuff like this in the league and gets to a position where he's able to put some velocity on this ball. This ball doesn't die. It's on this guy's forehead. He's going up to get it. Ball's ripped. Super impressive throw. When he sees it and he likes it, he can get it out. Now, I can definitely do a mechanics breakdown on opportunities for Drake to get more consistent as a mover and get back to a pre-pass position more consistently. I think that's the biggest area of his game he needs to approach, and I think that he will. He'll get better at it. Between now and his second year, that's going to be the biggest area of attention, is can he get back to a pre-pass position? Can he not rely on the talent and athleticism so much? Can he work on building consistent movement patterns so that he can make consistent plays? But I'll say currently where he's at, he actually consistently did make a lot of plays. Here's one right here. Big hit. This is what I'm talking about, right? The top of the drop. Huge hit. She's got frontside pressure, but it gets into a heel click and drives right into this ball. You can see the right foot sweep behind him, using the left side to decelerate. But this ball is ripped. This boy makes a play. But this is just some gunslinger. I like this concept in this guy, and I'm ripping this between defenders. If you can do that, it's super helpful on our play calls. If you can just put your foot in the ground and rip something that's open. Again, Josh Herbert, we see a lot of people do that on a regular basis. He's going to need to be able to do that next year. So the talent's there. Right? And he's the third pick in the draft. Everyone assumed he was going to be the third pick in the draft. It wasn't even a shocker, right? The ability's there, the guy, the person, all of those things. But because it comes to the Patriots and the situation he's going into, I actually might be the only person on the internet saying this, but I think he's going into a great situation. Here's why. I've been doing draft training for a long time, 16 years this year. And I've been a part of a lot of guys' draft journeys, not just the training, the conversations with the front office, the agents, everybody in the space, the media people. I got a really good feel for what players want and don't want, what agents want for their clients and don't want, and then also what teams are actually looking for. And here's one thing that has always true, and everyone would agree. If you're going to get drafted high, the most relevant person in that building is not the wide receiver. It's not the offensive coordinator they have. It's not the head coach that they have. It's not even the GM. Who owns that team? Are you going to a team that has great ownership, who knows how to build a successful organization and maintain and sustain success over long periods of time? Now, is Drake Maye going to be the next great Bill Belichick coach? I don't know. Time will tell. What's personnel going to be like in New England with head of football operations or whatever Bill's other title was? And again, a bunch of titles. With Bill Belichick not sitting in that draft room, how's that draft going to play out? I don't know. We'll see how this draft class does. So there's a bunch of stuff I don't know about, but here's my point. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are celebrated for all of the great accomplishments they did. But the name that doesn't get as much credit as those two is Robert Kraft, who brought those two people into his organization and hired them to perform services at a really high level for a long time and build around them. So if I had to place a bet on these situations that guys are going into and we took odds on it, I'm taking the long shot here and saying that New England is a much better spot to go to because the ownership has proven they know how to build sustained success there. There's a lot of work to be done. Drake has a huge opportunity to improve. That roster needs to look a lot different over the next couple of years. My bet is that both of them will happen. Drake Maye is going to end up being the next great quarterback for the New England Patriots.